Quit the Peaky Blinders.
Envisioned by Stephen Knight, Peaky Blinders is one of the best British dramas in the history of television. It's known for its brilliant actors, great storylines, and incredible cinematography. And since Peaky Blinders never fails to catch its audience off guard, let's look at some Peaky Blinders unplanned moments that left audiences shocked. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. Firstly, the grenade conversation between Thomas and Elfie. We all know how desperate Shelby gets when someone threatens his family, and when the walls seemed to be closing in on his family, he tried to pull the rabbit out of the hat by having a conversation with Elfie. This scene shocked audiences because it was dangerous and unexpected. When Shelby walks into Elfie's office, he knows that Elfie's trying to gain control over his whole business, so he finds the perfect way to threaten him. Shelby tells him that he and James have a grenade trip wired to a barrel of rum, and if anyone other than Thomas walks out the door, James is gonna blow it all up. Elfie, of course, after hearing that, can't tell if Thomas is bluffing or not, and after a surreal back and forth, Thomas agrees to give 35% of his business to Elfie. This intense scene is a masterclass in acting by Tom Hardy and Cilliam Murphy, and it left audiences sitting right at the edge of their seats. But if you've seen the show, you probably know that both of our favorite characters survive this grenade threat and Shelby regains control of his business. Secondly, Ben's death. This scene came as a complete shock for audiences because people weren't expecting Ben to leave the show so soon, especially because he had just recently told Ada he loved her. In fact, viewers were more expecting the two of them to have a happy ending, but nothing can be trusted in this show. Nothing. And after making a place for himself in Ada Shelby's heart, Ben Younger died a tragic death. He worked closely with Thomas as they were trying to bring down Oswald Mosley. After leaving Tommy's office, Ben went to his car, and as soon as he started it, an explosion occurred, killing them and a kid nearby. It happened all of a sudden. No matter what anyone else thinks, Tommy will continue blaming himself for this. And even though it wasn't his fault, we can all agree Ben got caught up in Thomas's revenge scheme and was killed for it. When the Billy Boys killed Bonnie, this scene was both horrifying and unexpected. The Billy Boys made their presence felt as they delivered a chilling message to Thomas. In the woods, they made their entrance and broke Abraham Gold's arm before focusing their intentions on his son Bonnie. And we all know how much Abraham loved his son. Bonnie was his everything, and he went a little crazy after the Billy Boys hurt him. Then they proceeded to hang Bonnie on a cross, and quite mercilessly. The Billy Boys shot Bonnie dead, leaving his father distraught as he watched his son take his last breath. This is one of the saddest scenes in Peaky Blinders, no doubt. But Abraham wasn't going to back down without a fight, and he vowed to take revenge and kill each of the Billy Boys if he survived. This is why he also later contacted Thomas for his revenge. When the tables turn on Luca Shangretta. In the intense season 4 finale, Luca Shangretta came face to face with Thomas and his family. He wanted to take revenge from the Shelby clan and establish Italian mafia superiority over Shelby's territory. But Shelby wasn't going to let that happen as long as he was around. And even though Tommy was cornered and he was expected to hand over all his assets to Luca, he had one last trick up his sleeve, and audiences were not expecting this at all. After their dangerous confrontation on the streets and some talk in between them, Luca threatened to kill Tommy, but Arthur made a return from the dead and shot Luca dead. Before all this happened, the show made it seem like Arthur was killed during a boxing contest by Luca with help from Elfie. But as always, Tommy had one trump card left to play, and boy did it play off. Elfie Solomon's epic return from the dead. Even though Elfie and Thomas have expressed their hate for each other in the past, audiences have grown to love both of them and the work they do together. And even though they're business rivals, everyone just wants both of them to be friends. But after Thomas got to know about Elfie's involvement with Luca, he wanted to finish him off for good. This is mainly because Thomas trusted Elfie and didn't expect to go behind his back with Luca. So, near a beach, Tommy killed Elfie, or at least we thought so until season 5 where Elfie made his return. It was revealed that he was shot in the face, but he miraculously survived, and Tommy knew that Elfie had survived. The fans were mightily relieved to see one of their favorite characters return, and maybe the two will work together again in the next couple of seasons. When Polly killed Campbell. In the finale of season 2, all eyes were on Campbell as he was planning to bring down Thomas and his family for good. But what happens on Derby Day is completely unexpected. Polly Gray meets Campbell inside a phone booth when he's speaking with Winston Churchill. Then Polly has a little pep talk with him before shooting him in the gut, and quite fittingly, that brought an end to one of the best villains in Peaky Blinders, truthfully. And even though we all knew Polly had the guts to carry out his murder, fans were a little shocked at the unexpectedness of this scene. I think it's because everyone was expecting Thomas or one of the brothers to kill Campbell, but even though the scene was unexpected, it established Polly as one of the most badass female characters on the show. Thomas's miraculous escape. Peaky Blinders had a ton of episodes where Thomas's life is being threatened by someone. He usually gets kidnapped or beaten up by his rivals, but he always manages to survive. But one of his most miraculous survivor stories is when he was kidnapped by Campbell. Campbell. You probably know about this, but in one of the episodes, Campbell hires 3 men to murder Thomas, and he's kidnapped by them abruptly. After this, he is taken to a barren land where he seemingly accepts his fate, and as his last action, he lights up a cigarette, which is pretty standard for him to do. But the scene came as a shock to viewers because everyone had expected Shelby to die. But then out of nowhere, one of his assassins kills the other 2, leaving Thomas and the fans shocked and a little confused. The shooter proceeds to say that in the near future, Mr. Churchill will like to meet you in person. Thomas, he has a job for you. Tommy has always been stalked by death, and that will seemingly go on for a little while, but this scene also foreshadowed his future political career, when Thomas got outplayed. In the season 5 finale, for the first time I add, fans witnessed Thomas lose out to someone. He had everything carefully planned for Mosley's execution at an event, but before that time, Barnes is killed and Aberama is stabbed to death. If you didn't already know, Barnes was supposed to shoot Mosley during his speech, but is killed before he can carry out the assassination. Tommy then left the scene with Arthur telling him that he has finally found someone that he cannot defeat. Then he hallucinates the presence of Grace before holding a gun to his head. It was an incredible and unexpected end to another impeccable season. The Shelby brothers really do keep us on our toes. Grace's death. Thomas's lady love was revealed to be pregnant in the last episode of season 2 and season 3 that began with their wedding. But as far as Tommy's concerned, a happy ending is never in the cards at a fundraiser party. Out of nowhere, an Italian assassin murders Grace on the order of Vicente Changretta. She is killed by a gunshot, and that moment will forever be etched in everyone's memory. Thomas lost his mind briefly after this happened because he lost the love of his life in a second. This scene came as a shock to viewers because everyone expected Grace to be Tommy's constant support. John's death. Luca left a lasting impact on the series as he managed to kill one of the best characters in Peaky Blinders. When Michael visits John at his house, they are greeted by some Italian assassins who start shooting at them with an intention to kill the whole family. John manages to protect Michael, but in the process is hit by multiple gunshots and he dies instantly. The fans were left bamboozled by what transpired in front of their eyes, and until now, no one has been able to fill the void left by John. And with that, it wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching.